Hi, my name is Sophie, and I'm enrolled in the English and Cultural Studies program at McMaster University. I'm in my final year, which is terrifying. I am currently enrolled in a class called Critical Race Studies. So, what is Critical Race Studies? Basically, we study how race impacts our society currently, as well as society historically. I know this seems like a really large topic, but there is currently a lot happening within our society that has to deal directly with race. So for this video, I'm going to focus on some very specific terms and concepts that we deal with within critical race studies. So the first concept I want to talk about is race. According to the dictionary, race is every major division of humankind, specifically physical characteristics. So generally, race itself is a social construct. And I know what you're thinking, Sophie, people are different races. You can see that they're different races. Some people have darker skin, some people have lighter skin. So how is race a social construct? Race itself and those physical differences is a tangible thing, but racial categorization is a social construct. Racial categories didn't just exist. Somebody somewhere in history was like, hey, these people look different. We're going to put them in a different category than ourselves because of that physical characteristic. So basically, while race itself is a tangible thing that we can see, racial categorization, where people are put into different categories based on their race, is a predominantly social construct that needs to be unpacked in order for us to fully understand how it works within society. Another really important definition to know is discourse, because it comes up a lot within cultural studies. So basically, according to Stuart, who is like the godfather of cultural studies, discourse is a group of statements that provides a language through which we can talk about particular kinds of knowledge about a topic. I know this definition can be super confusing, so I'll give you an example of how discourse kind of works in society. So a common discourse that we talk about within cultural studies is the distinction between the East and the West. So basically, the West is what you would consider North America, Europe, any predominantly Western cultures. And the East usually constitutes Asia, Africa, any cultures that are found more Eastern in the world. Because of certain discourses that have formed, the West is predominantly seen as more advanced. So basically, first world countries considered to have democracy, a more advanced society, better technology. Eastern cultures are seen as less developed and in need of the West's guidance and intervention. So because these discourses exist, people often form ideas of particular people that come from the East as being underdeveloped and not as intelligent as people from the West. While not all people think like this, these discourses still impact the ways in which society as a whole perceives these peoples. So basically, in order to deconstruct how these discourses work, cultural studies comes in and unpacks how these discourses work, why people think this way, and what can be done in order to work against these discourses. The final concept I want to talk about is intersectionality, because there is no escaping it when talking about critical race studies. So intersectionality basically deals with the ways in which concepts overlap. So sometimes when we talk about critical race studies, we look at the ways in which Black women are impacted within society. So in that case, you have gender intersecting with race. Take it one step further and talk about how poverty impacts women of color. So in that case, you have class, gender, and race intersecting. So in order to cover topics of race critically, you need to remember to include all aspects of culture, because it's hard to ignore the ways in which gender function when you talk about issues of race. The definitions that I've provided you are very limited, and there's a lot more that I can discuss about them, but for now, I think I've given you a basic understanding of how these definitions function within cultural studies and critical race theory. So the most important thing is to be aware of how these definitions and concepts work within society, and also this basic awareness is necessary in order for us to understand how society works and therefore become more positive members within society.